welcome to our part series that we're doing with our hybrid retirement, saving costs, having an extended lifestyle with a hybrid version of living in Australia part-time and living overseas part-time. And we've had a lot of feedback from some clients on this, and there's been a lot of questions, which is great. So I wanted to touch base on some of those. Today I just want to quickly talk about, the question has been, Scott, how are we actually saving money if I'm living overseas for between a month and 3 months, and then coming back to Australia? Aren't I paying two lots of accommodation expenses? I've got my house, in Australia, so maybe it still has a mortgage, or maybe if I'm retired, perhaps it's debt-free. And one of our goals is when you actually retire, we need an unencumbered house, so debt-free house, or at least no personal debt. Maybe we've got a line of credit on there for investment things, but there's that's the debt has to be manageable. Or if it is unencumbered, I've got some rates, bills to pay, and all sorts of things. The gas bill still turns up. Whilst I'm renting, a place near the beach in Thailand, or a place near the beach in Mexico, or a place in the mountains at one of these places, how am I going to do this? And so I say, okay, well guys, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. So in 2022, I went on this investment investigation tour for myself. I wanted to buy something. I've identified in Mexico that I wanted to own a piece of real estate in Mexico. One of the reasons is that you can actually own land title correctly in Mexico. And everyone goes, well, yeah, what's the big deal? Well, in Asia, you can't hold land. In Asia, the best you're going to do is own a unit or a condo. Okay, everyone goes, oh, right, okay. Because a lot of those Southeast Asian countries can't own land. But in Mexico, you can actually own a title. Now, this title has no crown encumbrance like all my properties do in Australia. All my properties in Australia have an encumbrance to the king, which kind of says that deep down, he kind of really owns it a bit, right? But in Mexico, you actually own clear titles. It's very much the American system. So, but I identified that it was actually an availability. I could actually buy something and have the land that might be, beach smelt. Or beachfront. They're not as expensive as we're used to paying for beach properties over here. This was my impetus to go and have a look over there. When you promise your wife a beach house in retirement, and then you look around at Coolum Beach and go, holy crap, it's $1.5 million, and then you can line up a beach house for $500,000 in another country that's actually cheaper to live in, then I can go to my wife and say, but you didn't tell me which country I had to buy it in, right? Okay, this is my motivation to start sniffing around there, so I can keep some promises that I've made. But how would I have afforded to go there for 3 months, and then it was probably a bit of travel either side, so I was probably away for 4 months, 4.5 months actually. How the hell is Scott Butler going to afford to do that? And the answer was very simple, and the solution we came up with was we put away some of our personal effects in our home in Toowoomba, and we Airbnb'd the house out all through winter, and through September, kind of the flowers time, got really good, what I call good money. And pretty much what happened was that, and the reason we were able to actually fund financially this longer journey was because the costs, my rent and my food overseas, my rent, my food, two gym memberships and a jiu-jitsu school membership for my boy, and soccer membership was equal to 1 week's of the net money that we would receive from our Airbnb. So all the money I receive from my Airbnb every week, after expenses, this is really important, after expenses, after cleaner, after paying electricity, after paying gas, after paying the manager who I had in, and I'll talk about that soon, the net cost there covered absolutely everything overseas. And so the only money extra I was spending was if I was going on a tour. Maybe we caught a bus, we went to see some ruins or something, right? So actually I was actually saving money because I wasn't spending money on fuel in Australia. I didn't buy the hiring car. Ubers are about $6 for a 30-minute drive. Go figure, right? And it's, even though the petrol is exactly the same price. So obviously their labour hourly rate is a lot less. Okay, so that's how Ubers work overseas. And that's the only way I could do this, because it was really interesting. Scott, people look at me a bit funny, like, oh man, you must be doing really well in the business. You must be kicking it all. You must have won the lotto. You're overseas for 3 or 4 or 5 months. I'm like, no. I just worked it smarter. I didn't have a resource, which is my home, not providing a yield for a long period of time. I mean, if you look at it as an investment, as an asset class, That's really what it is. Okay, so it wasn't that because if I didn't have an Airbnb, I would have been back in 2 weeks, and mission fail, I wouldn't have been able to do it. So it's been very interesting to hear from clients like trying to give me that look. Oh man, you must be, what'd you get, a big inheritance or something? Or like, business must be really good, Scotty. Nose wink wink. No. Business is the same. It's actually, it was super busy, but we do a lot of wheel spinning work too. But we just had to be smarter. We had to think smarter, right? There's no point having any properties empty. Doesn't make sense. Well, we can't do that, right? So, what does this mean for you? This would not suit everybody. This will not suit everybody. But if you said, Scott, I'm just really keen on doing this hybrid thing, I know that I can live healthier, which means I live longer, if I live overseas for part of the time. Maybe that's where I'm going to get my dental work done. I'm going to go over and do, big body liver cleansing diets, and I'm going to go and do yoga. I'm going to eat fresh food. It's only going to be a couple of dollars. No more luncheon, real meat. I'll be able to afford it overseas. Getting massages, my back will finally align. But I just how am I going to do this financially? I just really keen on this. I've got this empty house, and I was like, okay, why don't we go and talk to some of the people who run those Airbnbs in town for you whilst you're overseas. Talk about what you could do. Work out how you would pack up some of your personal effects and anything you left in the Airbnb. You know what? If someone stole it, yeah, it's annoying, but you're not heartbroken. Okay, so that's one of those things. And you'll be surprised. I've seen some Airbnbs that are really I would call them fibro boxes in Newtown, and I would call them pretty low accommodation, but they rent for $150 a night and they're full all the time. And that would probably rent for $250 a week, really, if it was on a standard rental, right? So if you can get your head around that and go, okay, if we do this hybrid lifestyle, maybe you're going to have to make sure that this resource I have called my house actually provides some sort of income at the same time, just to make sure that I'm still ahead. The strategy is still ahead. I'm still ahead. I'm still saving money by going overseas and having a higher quality of life for this 3 to 6 months. Okay, I've just done it. I've proven I can do it. I'm going to do it again. It obviously makes sense. The next time I go over, and I've got to do, you want to go and track down some lawyers in a couple of different countries and understand and talk to some property people, not developers, actual agents, and try and get square meter rates for land, square meter rates for construction. Try and get that on my head. I will have to, and I'll be happy to, Airbnb my house out again. Now that I've done it once, I know we'll do it better. We'll make some errors. Yeah, lost a few things. A few things that we probably need to do a little bit better this time, but that's okay. It's a learning experience, but it facilitates me to be able to do that. And so when I start talking to clients and saying, hey, well, you know what? Have you ever thought about this? Then perhaps this is the situation that you could also investigate to try and supplement your income. Look, guys, I just want to touch base on that bit. That little my house will be empty for 3 months to 6 months. It doesn't make sense. It costs me a lot of money. Scott, you're blowing your numbers out. No. I think this is, for people who need to do that, this is potentially, I think, a better way to do it. Some people may be flushed with cash enough and have a good enough cash flow to leave their house empty for 3 to 6 months, just get someone to come out and open the windows once in a while, whilst they're overseas enjoying a great lifestyle. And you know what? Take my hat off to them. That's not me. And probably not a lot of you out there as well. Anyway, guys, bring the next video. We'll talk about a few other things. Remember, life is a family sport. Give yours an edge. Bye now.